Hi everyone, this is Wendy here from My Menopause Transformation. I'm a woman's health educator and founder of My Menopause Transformation from New Zealand. Well, May is usually Mother's Day month, celebrated around the world. It certainly is here in New Zealand. So a particular shout out to those of you who are not only coping with perimenopause and menopause, but you've also got a lot going on in your life because there's so much happening in terms of your work, your family, and other commitments that you have. I used to say to women in my coaching groups that there were so many hormones floating around our house. With me going through menopause in my early 50s, I'd had children a little bit later in my mid-30s, so they were only in their teenage years at the time. And I just remember feeling so tired because of not really understanding what was happening in terms of the changes that go on with menopause and our fatigue levels. So if you're feeling like this, then you need to be exploring that a little bit more. I've just done some posts in my blog area on adrenal fatigue. A lot of the symptoms mimic our menopause transition, the typical symptoms. A lot of women don't understand that our blood vessels and our heart and our muscles are changing, and therefore this changes the ability for oxygen and fats to get into the tiny little mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell, because that's where oxygen is stored. And because of those changes that go on when our estrogen and progesterone start to decline, then we can develop more inflammation in our muscles, particularly those girls who are doing a lot of exercise, or even if you're not exercising, and we can start to really feel that fatigue that kicks in typically at the end of the day. So go to my blog page and there are some articles hopefully you'll enjoy. And don't forget the masterclass on menopause. That's my 2-hour webinar that I was traveling around New Zealand, Australia and the UK before the world turned to chaos. So that's now on demand for you. I think the most, as I reflect back on my 50s and trying to untangle a lot of my symptoms, and particularly the fatigue that was occurring. Yes, part of it is to do with not sleeping, obviously, particularly if we're not sleeping between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when our immune system is helping to heal us and regenerating. So it's particularly tough when we can't sleep night after night after night, and you've got a lot going on in your life with a busy family, busy work life and everything else. So for those women on my 12-week program, the first module that they come into is the sleep management module, and I've put so much importance on this because it is the foundation of our health as we age. Yes, we need to be re-looking at our circadian rhythm, and I talk about that a lot in the masterclass and in my programs. But what we also need to understand is that we're particularly unique as women in that our heat generation increases from 6 o'clock on, between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So it's actually really important to reflect on what you're doing at that time of night and trying to cut back on sugar, on alcohol, on having too much food, and also trying to manage your stress at that time of night. And that's particularly hard to do when there's a lot going on. You're cooking dinner and there's numerous jobs that need to be done, particularly at the end of the working day. But it is something that's really important because naturally our temperature regulation goes up between the hours of 6 and 9 o'clock. And when we're in menopause, this affects our thyroid, which also affects our temperature regulation. So if we don't get those hours sorted between 6 and 9 o'clock, then that becomes a challenge. And I have some solutions to that in the masterclass on menopause menopause. So if you want to have a listen to that, then jump on the website, and as there's only a small administration fee because I host you in my member area, and I'll explain a lot about not only why you're not sleeping, but also some solutions that you can put in place. So I hope that everything's going well for you. Thank you for being part of the My Menopause Transformation community. I'm Dr. Wendy Sweet from New Zealand.